Hi, my name is Mark, and I'm going to be discussing Martin Fishman's expectancy-value theory, or more specifically how expectancy-value theory is applicable to long-term unemployment. But before I get into the bulk of my research, let's get a quick overview of what this presentation will be covering.
The first thing we'll do is define expectancy-value theory. In doing so, we'll also take a look at two major theorems that exist within its same family: Fishman and Ozzen's theory of reasoned action and Ozzen's theory of planned behavior. Next, we'll review some current literature with a particular focus on the longitudinal effects of expectancy-value theory on student achievement by Wakefield and Eccles. In addition, we'll also heavily review Feather's literature on unemployment. As Feather's work is primarily a basic application of EVT as it pertains to unemployment, we'll finish off the presentation with a more thorough look at the issue from the perspective of long-term unemployment. It should hopefully help verify this presentation's thesis that long-term unemployment negatively impacts an individual's expectations, beliefs, and behavior.
So let's start off with the most obvious question.
What is expectancy-value theory?
Expectancy-value theory is a cognitive motivational model that attempts to predict a person's behavior by looking at his or her beliefs and variances to determine whether an action will occur. In essence, expectancies are an individual's belief that a given task can be accomplished, and their values are a positive or negative connotation to a particular object or action. Think of it like a type of mental math that all of us perform before we make any sort of decision. As an example, let's review the Longworth and Foss case study of Mars exploration.
How would a person develop a positive view of sending astronauts to Mars? Well, that would only occur if the person loved science, thought the idea was great, and felt the expense was justified. Those values, coupled with the positive expectation of a successful mission, would then create a behavior of support for the mission.
Interestingly, Fishman's expectancy-value theory also suggests that it is possible to change an individual's intent, assuming his or her perceptions of the outcome are artificially altered. Therefore, attitude and perception can be changed in one of three ways.
Information can alter the strength of particular beliefs. Information can also change the valence or evaluation of a belief. And finally, information can add new beliefs to the attitude structure.
In many respects, the theory of reasoned action and the theory of planned behavior are very similar to EVT in that they try and predict a person's behavior. However, they both have one noticeable difference. Each theory adds an extra variable to the equation. The theory of reasoned action, for instance, includes social normative factors inherent to a person's life, family, friends, church officials. The theory of planned behavior also includes social factors, but it adds a control variable into the mix. This means that it takes into account the relative ease or difficulty of an act. Let's take a look at these theories in action.
In the theory of reasoned action, an individual's personal beliefs are coupled with a social norm. Those together then create behavioral intention, which has the potential to create a behavior. Similarly, the theory of planned behavior starts off with an individual's beliefs, which are then coupled with social norms, and then it adds a control variable, which helps form behavioral intent, which then can help predict a behavior.
Though we mainly focus on expectancy-value theory, it is important to know the other two models, as elements of both will return later when looking at studies pertaining to long-term unemployment.
Now that we have a base understanding of the model, let's take a look at some current literature on expectancy-value theory.
As previously mentioned, the two most relevant studies were on longitudinal effects on student achievement and EVT on unemployment. Let's turn our attention to EVT and student achievement. For this study, researchers Wakefield and Eccles looked at how children's expectancies for success, ability beliefs, and subjective values changed over the course of several school years, and the effect it had on performance and choice. They hypothesized that students were more engaged in school, assuming they had a high level of confidence in their ability to do well.
From a pool of students, the researchers formed two groups. One group that would look at students that transitioned from elementary school to middle school, and another set of students were observed in a 10-year window in their K-12 career.
For this, Wakefield and Eccles came to several different conclusions. First, children were able to develop beliefs from a very young age regarding specific fields they felt they were good at and what they valued in terms of achievement. That an elementary school child may feel as though he or she is better at math than science, history, or grammar. Second, and more importantly to our study, the study that we're going to be talking about later on, the researchers observed that the mean level of a child's belief and their subjective values changed over time.
In other words, as school years passed, there was a decrease in ability-related beliefs and expectancies for academic achievement.
This is important as it suggests that expectancies and values decline when living under the same conditions for an extended period of time, which kind of demonstrates how it's applicable to long-term unemployment. An individual is going to remain unemployed over a long period of time. Now let's move on to the Feathers research on unemployment. Feathers studies are very basic in nature, as they more or less just attempt to demonstrate how unemployment is applicable to EBT. To break it down, he suggests that an unemployed person may have great subjective value in finding a job. It offers financial security, self-worth, and interpersonal contact. An expectancy for an unemployed person, therefore, may be an expectation of doing well at a job interview, which then could lead to a job. So basically, the more one values work, the greater likelihood that he or she will try harder to find a job. And if he or she has a positive attitude, expectancies are more easily met. Let's take a quick look to see how this works in action.
Meet Bob. He may be unemployed, but he has a great attitude. He's been updating his resume and has been reaching out to prospective employers. Things are looking so good, he even has an interview, and his expectations for that particular interview are very high. Bob met his expectations and did so well that he got the job.
Again, this is a very basic overview and doesn't offer a full understanding of how EBT is applicable to long-term unemployment.
But now let's take a look at how EBT can be used for long-term unemployment.
Current Bureau of Labor Statistics data notes that the national unemployment rate is 7.3%. That's nearly 12 million Americans. And to make matters worse, the average duration of unemployment is roughly 40 weeks. As one would assume, being unemployed for a long time has a major impact on an individual. As research by Walker and Wilson suggests, nearly 30% of the people that experience long-term unemployment face anxiety and depression. Such psychological factors then suggest there's a correlation between psychology and expectancies. In other words, though the value of a job may not waver, the belief that one can get a job decreases over time, which is very similar to the research done by Wakefield and Eccles.
What's more, the problem has social normative consequences too, as long-term unemployment affects the family structure.
Though family generally provides a sense of comfort and support for the unemployed person, it can be a detriment as well. That is to say that living in such close quarters creates a lot of conflict, lowering the self-esteem and self-worth of the unemployed person, which again affects expectancies and beliefs. This suggests that some elements of the theory of reasoned action can be applicable to unemployment in this phenomenon. With this lowered expectation in a person's ability to perform during a job interview, one would assume that it would have a devastating impact on communication, and to some degree it does. But the research also suggests that there are benefits as well. A negative mood has been shown by Forgas to increase an individual's awareness and response time. However, it also demonstrates to most employers a lack of fit with a particular organization, which can obviously be detrimental. Overall, studies have shown that EBT can predict a decline in expectancies and beliefs for people enduring long-term unemployment. This might be further validated with experimentation, with an experiment justifying the information just laid out. But with that said, thanks for watching, and I hope you've learned something of value.